Well, there's no more of them, number one. I mean, there'll never be another 63 Dodge or a 65 Chevelle or whatever. There's no more of them. But this is kind of like Fantasyland here, too. I mean, I don't know if this is the real world or not, just to be very honest.
There are workshops that feel less like businesses and more like museums waiting to happen. Long after the lights go out for the final time, every workbench, every unfinished panel, and every specialized tool seems to whisper the story of the person who stood there day after day. That was exactly the feeling inside Boyd Coddington's legendary California garage after his death. The machines were silent. Half-completed projects still rested where they had been left. It looked as though the man behind some of the most admired hot rods in America had simply stepped away for lunch and never returned. But as people slowly sorted through what remained, they realized the biggest secret hidden inside the garage wasn't another unfinished masterpiece. It was something far more revealing about the man himself, his extraordinary career, and the legacy he unknowingly left behind. To understand why that garage became so significant, you first have to understand who Boyd Coddington really was. Plenty of talented builders have created beautiful custom cars, but very few changed the direction of an entire industry. Boyd wasn't simply building hot rods. He was redefining what they could become. Long before television cameras introduced him to millions of viewers, Boyd had already earned enormous respect among serious car builders. His work wasn't judged by popularity or flashy marketing. It was judged by experts who examined every weld, every body line, and every tiny detail. Time after time, his creations walked away with the industry's highest honors. Nothing demonstrated that better than the number 7. 7 times, cars built in Boyd's shop captured America's most beautiful Roadster award, the highest achievement in custom hot rods. Winning it once is enough to guarantee a place in automotive history. Winning it 7 different times across multiple decades placed Boyd in a category almost no one else has ever reached. The record became the foundation of his reputation and remains one of the greatest accomplishments in custom car history. The awards didn't stop there. Over the years, Boyd was welcomed into multiple halls of fame honoring his influence on hot rods, custom cars, and automotive design. His vehicles collected prestigious design awards, while customers proudly displayed championship-winning creations built entirely under his direction. By then, collectors weren't simply buying cars from Boyd. They were buying works of rolling art. But none of that success came easily. Boyd's story began far away from Southern California's custom car scene. Raised in rural Idaho, he first trained as a machinist, learning the kind of precision that would later define every vehicle his shop produced. Long before anyone called him a legend, he was simply a hard-working craftsman who understood measurements, tolerances, and perfection. When he moved to California during the late 1960s, the dream was simple. He wanted to build hot rods. The problem was that dreams don't always pay the bills. During those early years, Boyd worked nights as a machinist while spending nearly every free hour building cars from a modest backyard workshop. It meant exhausting days with almost no rest, but little by little his reputation started spreading among enthusiasts who noticed something different about his builds. His cars looked cleaner, more elegant, more refined. Instead of covering every surface with chrome and decorations, Boyd removed anything that distracted from the shape itself. Door handles disappeared. Trim vanished. Body panels flowed together almost seamlessly. Every curve looked intentional. People eventually gave this unmistakable style a name: the Boyd look. Once you saw one of his cars, you could recognize another almost instantly. Demand grew quickly. By the late 1970s, Boyd had opened his own professional shop, Hot Rods by Boyd, turning a personal passion into a full-time business. Before long, customers from across the country were trusting him with projects worth enormous sums of money, all because they believed nobody else could deliver the same vision. That belief proved justified. One award-winning project led to another, and Boyd's reputation continued climbing throughout the 1980s. But he wasn't satisfied with simply building cars. He wanted to improve every component attached to them. That ambition led to one of his biggest business ventures. Instead of relying on traditional cast wheels, Boyd began machining custom wheels directly from solid blocks of billet aluminum. The result was stronger, cleaner, and unlike anything most enthusiasts had ever seen. Those wheels became almost as famous as the cars themselves. Soon the nickname Billet Boyd followed him everywhere. The wheel business expanded rapidly, becoming successful enough to grow into a major company of its own. Yet behind the scenes, success never guaranteed financial security. Like many entrepreneurs, Boyd discovered that even a thriving business could be shaken by circumstances completely beyond his control. A major customer bankruptcy reportedly cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars, forcing him to reorganize part of his operation and bring family members into the business. It served as an early reminder that behind every legendary brand was still a company facing real financial risks. By the mid-1990s, however, hot rods by Boyd had become something almost mythical. Customers weren't bringing in ordinary restoration projects anymore. Many of the cars leaving his shop were virtually handcrafted from the ground up. The original vehicle often contributed little more than its basic outline before Boyd's team reshaped nearly everything by hand. Months of fabrication, thousands of labor hours, countless custom-made components. Naturally, prices reflected that extraordinary effort. Some commissions climbed into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, placing Boyd's creations alongside the world's most expensive luxury automobiles. Except these weren't factory-built machines. Every inch reflected human craftsmanship. Every detail existed because someone in Boyd's shop shaped it by hand. One project, however, would become the perfect symbol of everything Boyd represented. It began when legendary ZZ Top guitarist Billy Gibbons approached him with an unusual request. The starting point was an old 1948 Cadillac. The finished product looked like something from another world. Known as CadZZilla, the car barely resembled its original form. Nearly every body panel had been reshaped until the finished vehicle appeared more like a sculpture than transportation. Collectors eventually began treating it exactly that way, with experts suggesting it could command an extraordinary price if it ever returned to the market. Cars like CadZZilla changed how collectors viewed custom hot rods forever. They weren't just expensive hobbies anymore. They were investment-grade pieces of automotive history. And just as Boyd's influence reached its highest point, Hollywood came knocking. Television producers recognized something audiences had rarely seen before. Behind every flawless custom car was intense pressure, impossible deadlines, creative disagreements, and a perfectionist leader who refused to compromise. Their cameras would soon capture all of it. As American Hot Rod became one of television's most popular automotive shows, millions of viewers finally got a glimpse inside Boyd Coddington's famous workshop. They saw breathtaking custom cars taking shape, but they also witnessed the intense pressure behind every project. Boyd demanded perfection. Deadlines were tight, expectations were even higher, and mistakes were rarely accepted. Some employees respected his uncompromising standards, while others found the environment almost impossible to work in. Several talented builders eventually left the shop to launch successful careers of their own, proving just how influential Boyd had become, not only through the cars he built, but through the people he trained. Despite the success, life behind the scenes wasn't always smooth. Running a custom car business meant dealing with enormous expenses, demanding clients, and constant financial risks. Boyd had already survived major setbacks, including heavy losses caused by customers who couldn't pay for completed work. Yet he always pushed forward, believing the next great build would keep the shop moving ahead. It was that determination that earned him the respect of collectors around the world. Then came the heartbreaking turning point. In early 2008, Boyd's health took a serious decline. After years of living with diabetes, he was hospitalized following a fall at home. Doctors performed surgery, but complications continued to worsen. Kidney and liver problems, combined with his existing health issues, became too much to overcome. On February 27, 2008, Boyd Coddington passed away at the age of 63, leaving behind a family, a loyal team, and one of the most respected names in custom automotive history. His death created a question that no one had ever seriously considered. Could hot rods by Boyd survive without Boyd himself? His wife and longtime employees did everything they could to keep the business alive. The tools were still there. The talented fabricators were still there. Customer projects were still waiting to be finished. But something essential was missing. Boyd's eye for proportion, his instinct for design, and his final approval had been the heart of every build that left the shop. Without him, the business no longer felt the same. Only a few months later, the answer became painfully clear. In June 2008, less than 4 months after Boyd's passing, the legendary Hot Rods by Boyd officially closed its doors. Employees moved on to new shops, unfinished projects were divided among former team members, and the once famous workshop that had produced record-breaking custom cars suddenly fell silent. An era that had lasted more than 3 decades had come to an end. But something unexpected happened after the closure. Instead of fading away, Boyd's creations became even more valuable. Collectors realized there would never be another authentic Boyd Coddington original. Every finished car instantly became part of a limited collection that could never grow. Auction prices remained strong, with several of his customs selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars years after his death. Even unfinished projects attracted serious buyers because they still carried Boyd's unmistakable touch. Those half-completed cars weren't viewed as abandoned work. They were seen as rare historical artifacts, frozen at the exact moment one of the world's greatest custom builders laid down his tools for the last time. And that's the real secret people found when they finally looked inside Boyd Coddington's garage. There wasn't a hidden prototype waiting beneath a dusty cover. There wasn't a secret invention that would change the automotive world forever. The true discovery was far more meaningful. Every workbench, every unfinished body panel, every custom jig, and every specialized tool told the story of a man whose vision transformed ordinary classic cars into rolling works of art. Today, Boyd's influence lives on through the builders he mentored, the design style he pioneered, and the legendary vehicles that continue to appear at prestigious auctions and museums. His workshop may have closed forever, but his legacy continues every time a builder chooses clean body lines over unnecessary decoration or strives for the level of craftsmanship that made Boyd famous. In the end, the greatest treasure inside Boyd Coddington's garage wasn't hidden under a tarp or locked inside a cabinet. It was the lasting proof that true craftsmanship can outlive the craftsman, and that some legends never really disappear. They simply leave behind masterpieces that continue telling their story for generations to come.